There's no way to fix this. Oh no. There we go. Quality content. Quality content. So, thing is, this is one thing I really think is kind of important to talk about. That is the fact that I have great ideas on a consistent basis for videos to make. I've been doing YouTube for like 3 years now, plus 3+ years now. Ooh boy. Clearly, like I've had time to like come up with ideas, and there's been a lot of ideas I've had for good videos or engaging videos or videos that like could serve a healthy purpose and could actually connect audience and channel better together. Woo. The thing is, I don't end up doing those videos. There's a lot of videos that probably would be easy to make and good, but I just don't make them. And there's one piece of advice that I've gotten, that popped into my head, that I think definitely sets things in perspective a little bit better than they might have been at one point. I end up making content. Because like, oh, I have to make some content now. Like, I've not made a video in a while, and I need to make more videos. I need to make videos on a consistent basis. So I end up making some content, and it's not good. It's not the content I necessarily even wanted to make, and I have this list going back like 3 years of content that I still want to make and still wouldn't be, relatively good content. Maybe some of the ideas from 3 years ago not as good as some of the ideas from like a couple days ago, but still, like, there's this big list of content that I can do and I can tackle, thousands of videos deep, and I could easily just go in there and just pick out anything and just start making content on that. And I don't do that. Instead, I just kind of like just do whatever. I just have an idea pop in my head and just make something quickly and easily, and I just put something together. Even though some of these ideas, because they've been formulating for so long, might be even easier to make. I end up working on content that's not very important, and it comes out, and then it does whatever. It doesn't matter how well it does or doesn't do. The more important factor of it is that it's not necessarily the content that could have been made there. I'm not even saying that in a way that's unreasonable. I'm not saying that in a way like, oh, I could have done something great, or oh, I could have just like worked really hard on this and came up with a great idea and did something fantastic. Even like getting away from that, even just like doing an idea that is just a good idea and just doing it to a decent ability, that still would be better than like quite a few videos that I could just make just by like that urge to make a video, that urge to just make content. I feel like that's not as important as actually putting forward the good content that I already know I can make, or I've either developed skill sets to be able to make them, or I've had ideas and I know how to execute them, or whatever the reason might be. There's content that can be made that would be better than the content I'm putting out, but because I'm just worried about being able to do something, I just do whatever seems to be like tangentially. That's not how you pronounce that word. I just end up doing content that's like right in front of me instead of content that like would matter more. So, a piece of advice popped into my head. If I was limited to one upload a month, what content would I make? Now, maybe for like other artistic things that's not as practical. Maybe for certain things, certainly isn't as practical. But is it not? That's the thing here. I can make more than a book a month easily. But if I was limited to putting out a book a month, yeah, there would be certain series that I wouldn't even think about working on, that I am currently working on or I'm doing right now, because I know like I can handle more than that, so I'll handle more than that, and then I end up procrastinating here or not doing what I should do here, or a problem comes up here, or I have to go away for a couple days here, and then certain things just don't end up done. And so instead of having something meaningful complete, I have something not very meaningful complete, and then something kind of meaningful partly done, and it's just overall not a very healthy way of doing things. So thinking about it from the standpoint of one piece of content a month, and I'm kind of thinking about it in the sense of like, for each platform I make content for, if I made one thing for each of those a month, what would that be? And for the my writing corner channel, very clearly there's certain projects that like obviously would do well, that are in the works. Some are already partially scripted, some aren't partially scripted but like are makeable. They're content that I know will be successful, I know will be good content that is good to make, and I know that I'll be in a bit better position after making them than before making them, and yet they're not made. Instead, I work on 30 other projects that like aren't successful or have low percentile being successful and aren't that meaningful and don't need to be made, but like because I just want to have a bunch of content made, I work on those instead of the ones that are actually important. The projects that I would make, if I could only make one thing a month, this one thing has to be made, those projects don't end up being made when I'm actually working on a either daily schedule or on a weekly schedule. Even just like going from monthly to weekly changes what's being made pretty drastically. And I wonder why. Like, why is that? Why can I look at content and say, even if there's a month apart between uploads, these videos would still do well because they have marketing behind them, they have branding behind them, they have actual decent content behind them. And even if they weren't optimized properly, they would still do okayly. They'd still do better than like not doing anything or doing these smaller videos that aren't guaranteed to do any good. I can speak really well. I remember when I recorded videos every day and I could speak like a god. Look at me now. Look at me now. So looking at the content, I don't know. It's just odd, isn't it? Like, you'd think, even for Writing Corner, which is not necessarily the newest thing, but like it's newer than some of the older stuff. And like specific content is going to go on there. I can't just like put anything I want on there because it's not a variety channel like I had at one point, and it's very much like it has a niche that it needs to serve. So like I know only certain types of content can be produced, but even then there's still a listing of 1,000 video ideas that I could make, and there's clearly ones better than others. You know, there's clearly a top 100 out of that 1,000 that are clearly going to be more successful and like have way more chance of actually doing well and being good videos than these other ideas that are maybe good ideas or entertaining or hold some value but just hold less value. But yet, that top 100 doesn't get made, but that other 900, yeah, I seem to be tapping in those a lot. And I don't think I fully understand the reason why. I think there's a lot of reasons why. I think there is a lot of reasons and a lot of things that could potentially be reasons. And I don't think any of them are necessarily wrong. I think probably a little bit of everything plays a hand in that, in obviously going for what would be considered weaker content. But still, I think holding it to that standard of if you were going to upload one thing a month for each of your outlets, what would that one thing be? Look at that one thing and guarantee that you're going to make that. Guarantee that that is going to go up that month. Because if you're not doing at least that, then like you're kind of not working off a solid foundation. Even if like you could say like, oh, if I have a bunch of videos and they all have a chance to do well, that's an even better foundation. Or if I do this over here, or if I set this up first, even with like all that and that seeming good and that seeming like you're doing the right thing, if you're missing that like core ingredient, that very like fundamental important thing to like you as a creator, if you're missing that, then how important is the rest of that stuff? Yes, you can look at it and say, this makes a better marketing foundation, this makes a better branding foundation, this makes a better content foundation. But if you're missing that very core individualistic reasoning for why you do the content you're doing and the things you can get out of your content that other people can't do, if you're missing that, then like this other stuff almost falls flat. It seems less important. It seems like, yeah, this is great. This is really good. This is necessary even. But if I'm missing that main ingredient, it's almost like this doesn't really even matter in comparison. And there's content that like, I know for a fact will do well, not making it. And like, there's reasons to like not make it, you know? There's reasons that you would go for like suboptimal content for like whatever the reason. But like still, there's like going from the most successful thing, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, eventually you're just on the other side of the list. You're all the way in the hundreds when you start at number one. And sometimes you gotta slow down and like look at it and say like, I have these 100 things here. All of them could be super successful, but for some reason, I'm all the way over there in the thousands, looking at like, oh, what's the 1010th the most important video I could be making right now? Let me work in that first. It's counterproductive. It's counter being a good artist, and just in general, it feels less healthy. It's less satisfying. It leaves you feeling more hollow, even if they're not major victories. Just having those partial victories feel a lot better than just like, oh, here's a video that I didn't really care about, but like, oh, I gotta get in the flow of making videos again, so I'm just gonna pump this out. They just leave you feeling empty, you know? And even this video, I don't know how important it is. I think it might be important. It's definitely higher than like the videos I might have planned to making. You know, just doing like random writing stuff or just like, oh, here's a fun short story thing. It's not important, you know, and I've been going back and forth on this channel for a very long time on what I'm going to do. I definitely feel pulls in multiple different directions and don't really know how to like go about that. I definitely like have entrepreneurial ties, and that's definitely something that interests me greatly. I think Gary Vaynerchuk chucked it up. Ha ha ha, funny joke. I think Gary Vaynerchuk said it best when he said that like tons of people are trying to be entrepreneurs because it's cool and not necessarily because they have that like core fundamental need to be an entrepreneur. I think that's very important. I think that's a little eye-opening for me because I have entrepreneurial tendencies. I have business running tendencies, but I don't necessarily have salesman tendencies. Like running a business, I understand that. Marketing, I understand that. I feel like there's these certain core principles of what makes an entrepreneur that I have, but they're not necessarily applied in the same way. I'm a hard worker, but not towards entrepreneurial things. I'm not a hard worker as in like, I'm going to go to the dollar store and buy a bunch of dollar store things and sell them on Amazon and I make a buck. That's not how my hard work comes out. I'm a hard worker in the sense that like, I don't care for anything but work. I don't care for like social connections. I don't care for a lot of this other stuff. I don't care for many things. I pretty much just care about a handful of very fundamentally important things. And because of that lack of caring for other things, I end up spending all my time on work. But like, it's not necessarily in the same way. I don't necessarily enjoy the game of an entrepreneur. I enjoy thinking like one. I enjoy implementing entrepreneurial ideas. I enjoy that stuff, but I don't enjoy being an entrepreneur necessarily. So like, that's like one way I've always felt like I could take this channel. That would make sense. That logically would make tons of sense. Like that would make a ton of sense. Like have affiliate links and like do microphone reviews and do other stuff and like talk about things that I've like developed knowledge and skills on and just like using those in a marketable way that could actually make money. That sounds like a good idea to me, dude. But like, yeah, I'm here. I'm stuck on these like writing things. I'm stuck on talking about writing advice and talking about story making and like what it means to be an artist and what it means to be like a creative person and what it means to have drive and passion for something. And it's fundamentally different. Like I love to give people advice that's practical and works, but yet that's not the type of advice that I'm necessarily built to give. Like, yes, there's a bunch of things that you can do right now that will practically help your business skills and practically help you become a better artist. But that's not necessarily the most important thing in the face of some emotional stuff that you have to work through first. It doesn't matter how good you are as a salesman. It doesn't matter how good your product is. If emotionally you feel empty doing what you're doing, nothing else is going to matter. I think I have to focus on that first. I think I have to focus on actually helping people with that emotional state and helping myself with that emotional state, because that's the main thing I struggle with. I understand how to sell something. I understand how to get views. I understand like SEO. I understand the practical side of things. I even understand like the extreme end of like emotion. I understand like the most important thing. I understand like working consistently and like finding passion in like things other people can't find passion in. I understand like the high end, the heady stuff. And I understand the very, very basic stuff. But this like middle column here, I feel trapped in. I feel like I don't really know how to work my way through this. I feel like I have a natural understanding of this, and I have a very like in the dirt, like working my way through stuff, understanding of this that I've just developed over years. But this middle stuff, I feel like I don't have this natural inclination for it, and I don't have this like actual fundamental understanding of it that I've developed. And like, I feel like that can be the hardest part, is like developing that like, not the complex stuff, not the easy stuff, but that middle stuff that like kind of can clog up the gunks. Again, yes, I'm technically doing something that could be considered good. Like I'm making a lot of content that can work as a good foundation and good platform for other content to be hosted on. I'm working on content that is technically good content that gets tens of thousands of views, or that gets good merchandise opportunities, or that works as a solid enough foundation, or has a chance of hitting the algorithm correctly. But I'm not working on that like mid-scale content that like is satisfying and like leaves you not feeling hollow and also gives more heart to the content you're making. And I feel like that's the stuff I have to focus on now. I don't need to focus on that small stuff. It's not in my DNA to really focus on that small stuff. Again, like I've learned these skills over forcing myself to like develop them. I've not learned these skills through naturally having an inclination. I have a natural inclination towards big, small things. I force myself to do. But now that I'm stuck with these middle things, I kind of like, it's like, I'm basically playing a whole new game, you know? So here we are. I got to think about type of content that I'd make if I was only putting forward one thing a month. And I think there's actual legitimate advice that like I have that I can work from, and there's actual platforms that I can start building from that like speak more to me as like a person on an individual level on the things I personally understand, that I can still apply the, very basic stuff that I've learned. Still, everything's going to need a good fundamental understanding of marketing and a good fundamental understanding of producing content of certain caliber. But I need to focus on stuff that I'm better tuned to make, but more than that, the stuff that like I feel has to be made. So there's a few things I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to post one piece of content a month onto all three of my channels, minimally. And I'm going to work on that content first. I'm going to work on content that has to be up, that's important, that needs to be up on each of the channels. And I'm going to work on that stuff first. And then if that gets done, I'm going to work on the other stuff. Ooh, ooh no, oh no, actual work. Again, what I'm saying isn't more time consuming or like more technically involved. It just is a matter of like prioritizing the more important things over the less important things, which is not easy, but like, Next, I think I actually gotta prioritize the books that I think are going to be more successful and have more of a chance to give me a good foundation and get those made first. I think I also have to like play the right games. I don't think I always necessarily play the right game. And I think that's a problem. I think that definitely is a problem. I like am playing in too many fields at the same time. So I might even limit myself to one of the novel series and just work on the other one on the side. But like make sure that I'm getting done at least like, I don't know, a volume a month. I don't know. Again, this is like another video that I need to go into about like setting up like small habits that I need to stick to more often, like habits that I might have had before that I've broken out of, going to the gym, oh no, or like habits that like I've never truly necessarily developed. Again, like I don't even know if I would consider making videos a habit I developed because of the fact like, yeah, I made videos every day, but like, I don't know, I felt like it. Like, it wasn't like I woke up one day, it's like, I don't want to make a video today. It was like, I woke up and I was like, I'm so excited to make a video today. But like, now that that's gone, I need to actually develop that as a habit, So that's another video. 3 pieces of content for each of the channels that are important and good and like wholesome content. Wholesome content coming at you. So I need to make that. More than that. Actually, no, that's it. Yeah, I just need to make like 3 pieces of like legit good content for each of the channels. Less so good for this one because again, ooh, funny joke. Work on like getting a book done a month or something. It hurts me to like have it that little because I know if I was doing everything correct, making a video for each channel a week is nothing. That's like that's like 2 to 5 hours of work for each video. That's like 3 days. 3 days, they're all done. And then like the rest of the time could be dedicated to writing a book and I could get it done. But like logically, it makes sense. It's just also logically, I know I'm not going to do that. So funny joke. So that's where I am. I think it hurts to say that I need to focus less on merchandising and other stuff because like I put a lot of eggs in those baskets, my dude. I put a lot of eggs in those baskets. But, like, I think I have to focus less on merchandising because it's killing me on the inside. And, like, just like, I don't know. Like, the idea, like, I understand it. I fully understand the idea of giving instead of taking. It's just that, like, it hurts. It hurts to do the right thing for the right reasons. Oof. Why would I do that? Oh no. Working on getting the correct content done in the correct time frame, I think that's kind of important. I think that's it. Yeah, for what's being discussed here, I think that's important. I think there's also, again, something to be said about building smaller habits that will lead to a more successful end result that also needs to be worked on. But like importantly, like working on just like putting forward the hype. I'm dying. Oh god, I'm choking and like have to burp at the same time. Like the burp got stuck and I'm choking it. Oof. So put forward the content that needs to be put forward. That's it. That's the point. That's the narrative. That's what we're going with. I still don't know how to end videos. It's been like 3 years. Actually developing practical skills? I don't think so. It'd be hard to live without coffee, I'll be honest.